Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF World Champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 405 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing this week, my man?
I'm doing great, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. Always good. Let's dive straight into the review part of the show. We're going to start here at the Teatro Maggiore. It could be an awful Italian accent there, but I gave it a go. Over here, two fights to mention. One on the undercard, Dan Aziz of the UK, now 20-0, his 20th win. A points win over 8 rounds against Khalid Gradia, who's now 10-12 with 4 draws. I didn't actually know this fight was going ahead. I think it kind of got thrown together at the last minute. But anyway, a win for Dan Aziz. Lots of big rumours about his next opponent. We shall see. We shall wait for the announcement. And yeah, the main event, Sandor Martin, a man who I feel extremely sorry for at the moment. I felt he beat Teofimo Lopez, but he didn't get the fight with Josh Taylor. He ended up fighting here in Italy. So yeah, he is now 41-3. I did say on last week's show, the guy he's boxing, Arblin Caba's not very good and has never boxed at the level of Martin. So I felt there was a chance Martin could get the stoppage, and he did get the stoppage. So I put a little small bet on that. So like I say, good win there for Sandor Martin, 41-3, round 6 KO there. Moving now to the Virtue Motors Arena in Newcastle, Tyne Ware, United Kingdom. This one was live on DAZN. Two fights to mention. Kes Ashfaq, now 12-2. He lost a split decision over 12 rounds to Liam Dillon. Really good fight. Liam Dillon now 13-0 with a draw, still undefeated. Ashfaq down in round 4 and round 9. Both boxers cut as well. It was for the vacant British super featherweight title. I think it's very unfortunate, but Kes Ashfaq seems to have found his level very quickly, and it's not such the high level that a lot of people expected for him, a former, Olympian, former GB squad member. He's kind of found his level really, and it's like British level at best, which is a real shame. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I think he's still probably got that style that's a bit more kind of, amateurish, and it just is what it is. I don't think we're going to see him end up being a successful pro, but yeah, massive credit to Liam Dillon as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Ashfaq was really hurt through the 2 knockdowns. They were just kind of like, they got to be scored as knockdowns, but I don't think he was massively hurt. But credit to Dillon, because on paper, I mean, God, the accomplishments that Ashfaq made as an amateur, you'd have thought on paper this is a win, a nice and easy win for him, and I expected him to still have enough to get the job done, but how wrong I was. But yeah, it was close in the end. Like I say, split decision there over 12. And the main event, Josh Kelly now 14-1 with a draw. He was able to take the O away from the previously undefeated Gabriel Corzo, who's now 18-1. It was for the WBO International Super Welterweight title. Corzo deducted a point in round 9 for use of the head. Josh Kelly, again, came out in the first few rounds, looked $1 million, then seemed to slow down as the fight progressed, and that is, that's a thing we've seen before with Josh Kelly, unfortunately. A lot of people say it, I think I've seen him discussed before on Twitter, and someone said he's going to come out, box like Roy Jones Jr. in his prime for the first 3 or 4 rounds, then slow down. And yeah, that was kind of pretty much what it was. Obviously very flashy. I enjoy watching Josh Kelly, to be totally honest with you, but yeah, sometimes the rounds are a little bit repetitive, not competitive at all, but very repetitive round after round. And sometimes I feel like he kind of gets stuck in gear, if you like, He doesn't really go through the gears, he gets stuck in a gear, and then it's hard to get him out of it, and then he ends up going the distance. But anyway, friend of the show is Josh Kelly, and, I got a lot of respect for him, a lot of time for him, and I'm happy he got a win here. And yeah, also on the undercard as well, I forgot to mention Troy Williamson as well, now 20-1 with a draw. Got in there with a really tough guy, Ramiro Blanco, who I think was 19-23 with 3 draws. I believe he'd only been stopped the one time. It was only a 6-rounder, so again, I expected Troy Williamson to go the distance, and he did, so that was nice as well to collect a small bit of change there. Moving out now, though, to the Masonic Temple in Detroit, Michigan. Again, this one was on DAZN. Let's start with the undercard. I cannot honestly say I remember watching this fight, which seems terrible, and I know that you didn't see it either, Eddie, but Jermaine Franklin, the big heavyweight, now 22-2. He returned with a win after 2 consecutive losses to Dillian White and Anthony Joshua, both on points, of course. He got in there with the undefeated Mexican heavyweight Isaac Gutierrez, who showed a really good chin, actually. Now, I do remember that. He's now 17-1 with a draw, loses his O, but yeah, unanimous decision there over 10 rounds for Jermaine Franklin. All the best to him moving forward. And yeah, the 2, I guess, bigger fights. Not in terms of weight though, of course, but yeah, let's start with this one here. The pro debut of Andy Cruz. He's now 1-0, a unanimous decision over 10 rounds. He cruised to it. He was able to defeat Juan Carlos Burgos, who's now 35-8 with 3 draws. Still never been stopped. It was for the vacant IBF International Lightweight title. Andy Cruz looked really, really good, Eddie. A lot of people quite critical though. They're throwing a lot of criticism, a lot of shade simply because he didn't get the stoppage. A lot of people saying he doesn't punch hard, and I thought that was extremely harsh. I mean, this is a guy making his pro debut, going 10 rounds with a complete and utter veteran of the sport. This is a guy that Mikey Garcia in his prime of primes could not knock out. At a time, he was knocking everyone out. This is a super tough guy, one of the toughest guys, in that division, and I have no criticism at all for Andy Cruz. I will come to you about him, but let me just quickly discuss the main event as well first. Alicia Baumgardner defended successfully all her titles. I think she was undisputed, so she's still undisputed. IBF, IBO, WBA, WBC, WBO. 10-round unanimous decision over 10 2-minute rounds there. She's now 15-1. She was able to beat Christina Linadatu, who's now 14-3. Baumgardner has avenged her sole career defeat. Really happy for her, and she came out, quite vicious in rounds, I think maybe 1 and 2. It might have even just been the first round. And then she seemed to kind of slow down a bit. Linadatu came back in a few rounds after that, started getting quite successful for a few rounds in a row, and it was like when Alicia would let her hands go, she looked really good, but a lot of the time I felt that Linadatu was outworking her. However, like I say, she had a bright start, Baumgardner, and she had a really good finish to the fight as well. She came on strong in those later rounds, and for me, clinched the victory, and she was the deserving winner, I felt. So I was happy with that, and obviously she's improved a hell of a lot. But yeah, that's my quick summary of that card there. If you wanted to add anything to it, Eddie, take it away, my man.
Yeah. I first want to speak about the whole Jermaine Franklin and missing that fight. I was, and the thing is, I was turning the fight on as right at the time they were getting out of the ring. They even stopped the highlights. It was right after all of that, and I'm like, damn, I really wanted to see at least some of that fight, or get some kind of synopsis of it from just even a few moments of it. But I couldn't even do that. But we hyped up about this guy Andy Cruz, and honestly, before this, I swear I've never heard of him. Never even knew, because I don't really pay attention to that part of boxing, the amateur portion too much, even with hot guys coming to the pros. But just the hearing of it and the hype train behind him, how good this guy was and who he beat in the amateurs and stuff like that, I was really, really interested in what was going to happen, how he was going to look against Burgos. And to say the least, I was impressed. I was extremely impressed with what he was able to do. I see he was with Bozy Ennis, and I really like his defensive awareness as well. His ability to, you see certain shots coming. His understanding of what shots to allow to get close, to create opportunities for offense, it was impressive. A lot of what he did was impressive. His defensive responsibility as well was impressive. So all the way, he's fast, extremely sharp. Yeah, I think the hype and the behind what he's capable of is warranted. I think he's really an awesome young fighter. He's going to do a lot of good in the pro game as it goes forward for sure. And as for Alicia Baumgartner, that was one of the. I mean, of course, I watched the Andy Cruz fight too, but I mean, that was the one I was kind of interested in seeing the girl the one that actually beat her, the fighter that actually beat her, and whether or not that was going to be that. You got to get the monkey off your back type of situation with that. It's like, man, I can't, have this looming over that I lost to a girl and I'm undisputed, and have her come back and win and beat me again is just something that's unacceptable. So, it was good to see her win and do it in, I want to say dominating fashion, but I think she controlled the fight. Like early on, she did really, really well. Like you said, when she let her hands go, but I think there was times in there, I think she was a little bit too hesitant to, not to say hesitant, a little bit too careful. You know what I mean? Or maybe what it was is she was looking for the perfect shot. Like I think sometimes we fall into those situations where if you want to make a big splash, you want things to look great. You want to, you're in your hometown. You want to look good. You want to make sure that you make a huge splash. So I want to stop her. And maybe she was looking for a perfect situation to get a highlight knockout. But in boxing, and especially as a professional, you got to know that knockouts don't come. You can't go looking for a knockout, or sometimes they'll find you. So, and as you've seen over the course of the fight, as it progressed, she started to get into the fight a little bit, So, I think the approach she took at the end of the fight, the later rounds, is the way she should have done it from the beginning. Which she kind of did do in the beginning, but I mean, as the fight progressed, she should have had a more measured pace. Not necessarily too explosive, but then not necessarily too much on the back foot and just standing waiting for opportunities. So I think all in all, I give her a good grade on it. She did really well. She made sure she avenged that loss and did it in a fashion where there's no question she's the better fighter. And, I'm just I heard Amanda Serrano mentioned in a fight with her, which is an extremely exciting sounding fight, especially two punchers like that with skills that would be really, really good for women's boxing going forward. So I'm kind of excited I'm very excited about what I'm going to see from them in the future. And hopefully they do set up a fight with those two.
Yeah, it'd be a great fight. I'd love to see it. I think I'd favour Serrano quite heavy, though. But yeah, moving now to the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas, the final card to mention. It went down on Showtime. Two fights to mention over here. I've got to be honest, I didn't see either of these fights. But yeah, let me just discuss the results. Elvis Rodriguez with a win. Kind of gutted, actually, to see it, a 7th round TKO against Victor Postol. In my eyes, that's the first time that Postol's legitimately been stopped. Yeah, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, seemed like Postol looked quite old in there, actually, and Elvis Rodriguez was just too aggressive, too young, and yeah, just really brought it to the veteran, to the former champion. Elvis Rodriguez now 15-1 with a draw, 14 KOs, always in a good fight. Victor Postol now 31-5, and yeah, if that is to be his final fight, then he's still been a fantastic fighter, but it's just a shame how underrated and underappreciated he's been. And yeah, the main event, Frank Martin now 18-0, a unanimous decision over 12 rounds against Artem Haratunyan. Probably saying his name wrong. I'm sure if I watched it, I'd probably know how to say it properly. But anyway, Haratunyan took a knee in round 12. I think I'm saying his name wrong. It sounds hilarious. But anyway, took a knee in round 12. I actually expected Frank Martin to win the fight on points. A lot of people were really, really disappointed, saying he's a hype job. And I feel like there was a lot of real harsh boxing fans watching the boxing on the weekend, really harsh about Frank Martin, really harsh about Andy Cruz. Yeah, seems like they were being quite harsh, but I actually thought, yeah, Martin doesn't stop everyone, and this guy here, obviously undefeated, hungry, never been stopped, obviously, and that is pretty much what happened. So yeah, I don't know, maybe because I didn't see it, I don't quite understand the criticism that Martin's getting, but anyway, he wins the fight. 18-0, like I say, unanimous decision over 12, and that'll be 12 important rounds moving forward. So all the best there to Frank Martin. And yeah, that is the final card to mention of the review part of the show. The final thing for me to do in this part is to welcome this week's special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former IBF Minimumweight champion of the world. It is, of course, Mr. Deejay Kriel. DJ, welcome to the show, my man.
What's up, Joey? Cool, man. Great to be on the show.
Hey, it's great to have you on. It's great to have you on. So, DJ, first things first, I wanted to ask, what initially drew you to the sport of boxing? How did you first ever get into boxing, my man?
Oh, so I started boxing with my uncle. It is a family sport, you know. My grandfather boxed, my uncle's boxed, so it was actually a family sport that I jumped into. Started boxing with my uncle a little bit, like when I was about 8 years old. From there, like I just developed a real passion for boxing, and I was pretty good since young. So, like I just decided this is what I want to do, you know. And then, like by the age of 12, this is literally all I done. So I mean, yeah, it was something I just stepped into as a family sport, but it grew into a love for myself, boxing, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure, my man.
Yeah.
And obviously you've been a pro since 2014. You turned pro at home in Johannesburg, your hometown. April the 10th, 2014. I want to touch on that debut. Obviously you boxed, and excuse my pronunciation, Colin, you might as well do the surname because I don't know if I can do it.
Butler, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Bit of a mouthful for me. But obviously, you lost your pro debut, a loss on points over 4. You did, however, have the immediate rematch. You avenged it just 2 months later. But talk me through those first 2 fights of your pro career. Obviously, a long time ago now, of course.
Yes, 100%. No, it was a crazy time, man. You know, so not a lot of people know this, but I only had 3 amateur fights. And funny enough, I lost all 3 of those amateur fights. I was 12 years old, 13, between that time. I had 3 amateur fights. I lost all of them, and I just carried on training in the gym. I said, I don't want to fight amateurs. I said, I'm going to wait until I turn pro. And obviously that bit me in the arse, you know, because I believe, you know, with having the experience from amateur fights and stuff, my pro career would have started off much better. Obviously, as you see, like we just saying, I lost my first professional fight, and that was due to just lack of experience, you know, and going through the emotion, being in front of people, being on a stage. It was just, you know, I caught like a stage fright. So yeah, that's how that ended up happening. But yeah, so it was I made it a tough fight. I actually still believe I did enough to either win or like really just a draw. But I don't know, it is what it is. And then my trainer said straight away, listen, we're rematching this guy. He said to the promoter who promoted the show, he's like, we want this fight again in as short as possible, you know. And then we rematched him, and yeah, we got the win.
That's great to get that backstory, actually. As you say there, not many people know you only had 3 amateur fights.
Yeah.
That is obviously such a low number of amateur fights. And it sounds terrible to say that you never won an amateur fight. And then it sounds...
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds amazing, though, to think that you went on to become a world champion as a pro. So that's a fantastic little title there. Yeah, after avenging that loss, you go on a 14-fight unbeaten streak, 13 wins and a draw before that fateful night at the Microsoft Theatre in LA, February the 16th, 2019. I probably don't have to remind you of the date. You challenged the undefeated IBF world champion Carlos Licona. You were down on the scorecards at the end of round 11, coming out for the 12th and final round. On 2 of those scorecards, you're 7 points down. You need a knockout in round 12, otherwise you lose the fight. You managed to get the knockout with just 44 seconds left on the clock. It simply does not get better than that. What drama. Talk me through the fight, DJ. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like a Rocky movie, man. So I had my trainer Kenny Adams in my corner. So we're losing the fight, you know. Also just a weird moment for me, you know. I was on a big stage. I'll never forget, man. I was on Leo Santa Cruz's undercard. Just, a new thing for me. It was my first time outside of, hostile grounds. I had all my fights. I was very comfortable having in front of my hometown crowd and everything. I didn't fight for 11 months. So I stepped into the fight. I get a call from Sean Gibbons. We've got the fight with Carlos Licona. Step into the ring. Man, like I say to everybody, for that, like a lot of that time, I was like on autopilot. I hardly remember the fight. And then, but what I do remember is like Kenny told me, listen, son, you didn't come all this way from South Africa to just throw this away. This was like the 9th or the 10th. And he said to me, we're down on the scorecard, you better start stepping it up. And from there, I just remember, like, inside of my head, I said, listen, I need to win. And I started throwing with more intention to hurt. And it started to catch up. And then in the 12th round, I heard Carlos Licona with a big left hook. So like I say, I think the punches from the 9th or 10th started taking its toll. And then in the 12th, I caught him with a big left hook. I will never forget, man. I caught him, and as soon as I caught him, he grabbed onto me. And when he grabbed onto me, I didn't take much notice of it, but when I tried to push him off and let the ref break us, he held on like for dear life. And I realized, no, man, I hurt this guy. And I pushed him, and then when he separated us, I hit him with 2 overhand rights, bang, I caught him with the second one on the like equilibrium, boom, and he went down. Then he got up another 2 times. Like, actually, the referee should have stopped it after the second time down because he then stumbled. And he didn't, and he let the fight go on again. And I knew I only have a few seconds left. And yeah, I cracked him again with the right, and he went down, and the referee stopped the fight. And yes, one of the best moments of my life, yeah.
You say one of the best moments of your life. What other moments of your life are bigger or just as big?
Oh man, like next to that, so like that is probably one on the side, but obviously my son, just having my baby boy, that's something I'll say. I've got my son Caleb Kriel, and that was probably the biggest moment of my life. Is just, my wife giving birth to my baby boy. That was just truly amazing. But like I say, even that's, winning the world title, that's right next to that, man. I mean, I've been boxing since a little 12-year-old kid. I just wanted to become a world champion, and that's why I say it's just as much as that to me that night, with Carlos Licona.
And DJ, I like to ask this question to guys that have, been world champions. I like to ask this question. Describe for me the feeling of finally becoming a world champion in your own experience. Obviously, you say there this was a dream since you were 12 years old. You said you got into the sport. It was a family thing. Just describe to me what it felt like for you when you finally became champion of the world.
Oh man, like the feeling is indescribable. I can just tell you, like I explained to you, from being a little 12-year-old kid, all I do is work my whole life. I was just working because this was my dream to become a world champion. And that night, because also that I knew I was down on the scorecards and stuff, it was almost like an unbeatable thing, like damn, we're not going to win this, And after I stopped him, like everything inside of me just came out. I actually just remember screaming. Like it was an unbelievable moment for me. Like I just came out and I remember I was screaming. So I actually saw the video and I remember like everything just came out of me. Like I just won. And it was an unforgettable moment. Like it's hard to even describe, but something like imagine your best moment in your life. This is how I tell people. And like times that by 10 for me because like I'm saying to you, I was busy losing, and it's something I actually thought, what, I'm going to lose it. I'm losing this fight, But I always pushed on because I thought, hey, I need to win. Always that is in my head with every single fight is, I need to win. And wow, and then I stopped him, and then it just like my dream came true, It's like, and then just out of pure emotion, I just started crying. It was unbelievable. Like I say, working for that since I was a little kid. And then, my dream come true. It's not every day someone even gets to say that until the end of their lives.
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant thing, of course, and I love asking that question. Everyone has their own answer, but no, it's fantastic. Obviously, you never actually ended up defending the title. Obviously, you ended up vacating it. For those that don't know your reasons behind that, just explain that. I'm under the I know what happened. Basically, you was expected to defend it for pretty much peanuts, but explain to me what happened.
Yeah, so I mean, I got a call from my agent, and he said to me that we were going to go and defend in the Philippines, and it was going to be for very little money. And obviously, listen, I was working with Kenny Adams and them, and like we all didn't agree on the amount of money, try to get more, and obviously they couldn't give us more, and because it went to a purse bid, and I mean, I fought for like. I think it was like $10,000 more for a challenge. So it really didn't make sense for us to go and fight to defend for like $10,000 less than challenging for the title. There was just no sense in it. And then the other thing is we did have the reason also for vacating is because we apparently got another opportunity, you know. So we had another opportunity on the line anyway. We were going to move up. And Kenny was very interested because we said we're moving up a weight division. There's more money and there's more opportunity there. So that's obviously what happened. And then we decided to vacate the title. But like mainly, the reason is, like you said, is from just we were going to go and defend it for like $16,000. So I thought to myself, from my side, I was like, it's ridiculous. But all I wanted to do was fight. But we had another, so we still had a plan, and we actually were going to challenge for a title. We were going to challenge Felix Alvarado, stepped up and challenge him. Like after that, it just took its time, obviously because of COVID.
Yeah. I was gonna say. Obviously, I'm happy that you said the figure as well, because when I actually learned that figure, I think, as you say, about $16,000 to go and defend your world title away from home. That's absolutely crazy, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I read that. But yeah, getting back onto the timeline, like you say, you vacate the title, you make the move to light flyweight. You had a non-title fight in Mexico. Obviously, everything got delayed with COVID. Obviously, a quick knockout over there, Mexico. Then you're out the ring for just over 13 months before stepping in with obviously the then IBF champion of the world at light flyweight, Felix Alvarado. Talk me through that fight. I mean, obviously the goal was to become a 2-weight world champion. Bit of a bad start. You were down in the second, you were down in the fourth. Ultimately, you wound up getting stopped in round 10. However, that doesn't quite tell the story of the fight. It was an excellent fight and one that you showed boatloads of heart in.
Yeah. So, I mean, before I get to that, like you said, so I was off my weight, so we vacated, and then we were actually supposed to fight Felix Alvarado. It went on for months, man. It went on for months, obviously, but we had to go and have a fight in Mexico to be rated at junior fly, and then I could get the title shots because I never fought at junior fly. Then we moved up. And then, but anyway, long story short, the months went by, and then we actually ended up getting the shot on Ryan Garcia's undercard in Texas. And man, like you said, so fight starts, I get out, we box for the first round. Felix Alvarado, just a demon. he came out like a steam train first round, and his pressure was just relentless, man. He's a monster. I'm a fan, you know. And first round, just a steam train. Second round, he dropped me with a leaping left hook. A punch I never saw coming. I turned, I'll never forget, I hit a left hook and I pivoted out, and he caught me with a left hook. I went down. That was the second round. And then third round, everything was going still okay. Obviously, he's still coming out like a steam train, though. And then I went down again in the fourth. And the fight was like that the whole time, man. The fourth, and then I remember coming back during the middle rounds, the fifth, sixth, and seventh, and about eighth, somewhere there. You know, the middle rounds I started doing a little bit better. It's not that he slowed down. I think I just started moving a little bit more. I got onto my bicycle, started moving. But, you know, obviously it caught up. And then I was getting like still blown away by him, man. Like he came out the ninth round, like he came out the first round. And then I got caught, and then they stopped. The referee stopped the fight in the 10th because he just saw a little bit too much, you know.
And yeah, like I say, it was a fantastic fight. You know, you showed so much bravery there, and you're right. You know, Alvarado, you know, he was and probably still is actually a real beast, especially at that time. And yeah, such a massive puncher as well for light flyweight. It's such a rare thing that someone can hit that hard at those weights.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, 100%.
After that fight, obviously you were out the ring for almost 2 years. What happened for that to be the case, DJ?
Oh yeah, so I tried to fight again. You know, we tried to set up fights up in Mexico to get the ball rolling again, get back in the ratings. But man, like 2-3 fights got put off. No, not even 2. Sorry, yeah, definitely about 3. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 4. I had my manager Hector Cordova from the US, and we were planning on getting back into the ring in Mexico. That fight got put off. I was going to fight a guy named Pinky Alejo, but then the first time he got COVID, fight got put off. Second time we were traveling, we were even already in Tier 1, and we were heading our way up from there to go to Hermosillo, Sonora. And then I got a call while we were in TJ, and they said to us, no, the fight's put off. 2 of the fights are cancelled or something, also due to COVID. So, yeah, it wasn't that I didn't want to be inactive for 2 years. It was just, you know, no fights. And that's why I decided also to move back from Vegas back to South Africa to start getting fights, because I couldn't get onto promotions in the US. You know, it's very hard for my weight division. You know, the networks don't want to put us on. So it was hard to get fights in the US. So then I just decided, me and my wife, let's go back home and then get my career going again, you know.
And DJ, obviously you've been, you know, very inactive since losing the title. I wanted to ask, obviously, I think you've boxed about 4 times in the last 4.5 years almost. Have you had to? I mean, has boxing been your only source of income, or have you had to get a job, perhaps even?
Yeah, no. So I've always trained people. I'm a trainer, actually. I do boxing training. I've got my own gym in South Africa called Eastside Boxing. And, yeah, I train people, man. It's something I love doing. It's actually something I'm going to take after I'm finished boxing. I'm going to become a professional boxing trainer because I love teaching, man. So, yeah, that's one of my things. So, yeah, that's what I do for income. I train people. I'm a boxing trainer.
There we go. It's good to know that as well. And obviously, like I say, it's good for people to know that, really. I mean, you not long ago lost your world title. Here you are now training people to get by. It's not an ideal situation. You've had to move, you know, back home from Vegas. It's just, it's a cruel side of boxing that people don't really hear about.
Oh, yeah. It's not like people don't know. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, you know, a lot of our weight divisions, we don't make much money, man. You know, it's not like that. We can be a world champion, but it doesn't mean we're making hundreds and thousands of dollars, man.
Yeah,
so that's the problem. I mean, even if you're defending, you know, guys are not making that much money. So it's not like you can go and retire off of the money you can make. The best thing you can do is the money you make, like we make in the smaller weight divisions, is like invest into something, you know.
Yeah, no, and I'm happy that you've invested it in something that you enjoy and that you have as well. When you decide to hang up the gloves,
100%.
You are now back active. Yeah. You ended that layoff by returning in December last year, and of course you just boxed on the 15th of this month, picking up a points win back home again. What does the future hold right now in terms of your boxing career, DJ? Where do you see the next big move?
No, so I definitely see myself becoming a world champion again. I want to go back to the top of the mix of the world. You know, I think I am a changed fighter. Like my IQ is completely different. I've grown a bit. You know, I feel some punching power, so I'm happy to be at flyweight. I'm going to either campaign still between flyweight and junior flyweight, and I want to become a world champion again. So now the thing is just I have to be active. So we're trying to get fights. I mean, even this year again, like you said, I fought in December, and I only fought now again. I had actually 2 matchups during the year that were put off. So it's just about being active now and getting back into the ratings. So that's our goal. That's me and my manager's goal, Colin Nathan. So we now just busy trying to get fights, get back into the ratings, and then we're looking at getting back to the top level, you know. So it's just about getting the fights, getting active, getting back in the ratings, and then taking that step to the top.
And that was actually going to be my next question. Which kind of weight are you going to be campaigning at? You said you're going to be kind of between light, fly, and fly. I think that's a good idea. So yeah, that's obviously the plan. Are there any names that you would want to fight? You know, is there any guys on your radar, DJ? I know that obviously you're going to say, well, I want to win a world title again. You've made it clear, and by the way, you're still young enough as well to do that. But yeah, without actually targeting the belt holders, because that's a little bit of a step too far at the moment, not being ranked. Is there anyone out there that doesn't have a belt that you would like to get in the ring with?
Oh yeah. 100%, like you were saying, it's hard to even think. I don't know many of the names, at like the divisions, like who I would be looking at getting ratings. You know, I know the boys like being guys stepping forward. Obviously, before world titles, like David Jimenez, I think his name is Ricardo Sandoval. Who else? There's some good names that I know will put me there in line for a world title, but obviously I do have, like, I want to fight the best, man. But like you said, I have to there's steps to take. But I don't know many of the boys' names, man. But I'm willing to fight anyone to get to the top. It doesn't matter who it is. Put anyone in front of me. I know any task at hand. I always train like I'm training to fight a world champion. Obviously, my goal is to fight the best. Those are those names like, you know, Jesse Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards. I'm actually fans of those boys, man. I really like them a lot. I'd love to fight them one day, you know. But like you said, there's steps to take. I think the kind of names I saw like to get to there is like Ricardo Sandoval, David Jimenez. There was someone else's name that's also pretty good at the flyweight division. And you were talking, I told you I want to campaign also at junior flyweight. My problem is that two of my stable mates are actually champions at junior flyweight. Well, Heikki's about to fight Tajiri, and of course I've got my boy. I always back my boys, man. I'm hoping I've got him for the win. So it's going to be tough to stay still at junior fly. I can't fight my boys, you know, they're my stable mates. So it's a bit tough.
Oh God,
yeah.
It's not easy. Obviously you don't know just yet who you're going to be fighting next, but have you got like a month in your mind of when you're going to be fighting next, at least, DJ?
So I think in September, Colin's trying to get me something going, because obviously my manager, he's also got his own promotion company. He's on the side of another promotion company, so they're going to keep me busy. And obviously with tough fights, you know, we're just going to keep on stepping it up, because like we said, we have to fight the guys to get to the top. So yeah, I'm gonna fight hopefully in September or October, either between those 2 months, he said.
Yeah, sounds
good.
So
I look forward to that.
Yeah, sounds good, good, my friend.
Yeah, so I can't wait.
And I'm going to put you on the spot for my final real question. I should have probably given you a bit of notice with this one, because some people are like, oh my God, I'm on the spot and I don't know how to answer it. But it's a question that I like to throw at everyone that we speak to from overseas. Favourite UK fighter, if you have one, any era, DJ. So it can be a guy still fighting now. It can be a guy from 300 years ago, if you know British boxing that well. But yeah, anyone who springs to mind, just reel off a name or two, if you have any, that is.
Okay, he just got beat, but man, I still think he's a hell of a fighter. It's Josh Taylor, man. Josh Taylor, I love Josh. Actually met him a few times. He's pretty cool. And who else? The flamboyancy of Chris Eubank, shit, I loved it. The nit and gritty from Nigel Benn, yeah. Who else, man? Yeah, there's a lot of top UK fighters that I love, man. I just love boxing. So yeah,
that's a good list. That's a good list.
I'm trying to think of another one. Trying to think of one more. I've always been a fan of Anthony Joshua. I've always been a fan of him just because of the guy he is and stuff. Pretty cool guy, you know. I hope to see his career go a little bit better for the next few years. I'm a fan of his. Yeah. But I guess, like, to answer your question, though, Josh Taylor.
Yeah, top quality fighter, but a bunch of good guys you mentioned there. Hopefully we see Joshua fight Wilder in December. That'd be something. But just before we wrap it up, DJ, I want to just say to you, if you've got any closing words just to the listeners, obviously people listen to this podcast from all over the world, so if you want to sign out with a little message, say whatever you like before we let you go, my man.
Guys, I will be back, man. Remember the name, Deejay Kriel. I'll be back to the top. Give me a while, but I'm back fighting, and I'm gonna be pushing. Tune into my fights. I promise you, I've always got a fight for you. Putting it out there. Yeah, let's go, baby.
Let's go. Listen, DJ, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today, my man. Thank you for your time. Stay in touch, and we'll speak again real soon.
Awesome, Joey. Thanks, man.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. We're going to start here with this one. It's an addition to the Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte 2 undercard. Obviously, the date for that is going to be August the 12th. We're going to see 2 undefeated heavyweights collide. Filip Hrgovic gets in with Dempsey McKean of Australia. So that will probably be a fun fight there. I'd expect Hrgovic to win, though, I'd say. Also, in other news, we're going to see the rematch again with Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. That one to go down September the 2nd at the AO Arena in Manchester. Hopefully this date does end up actually happening. So yeah, good to see that one get made. I didn't really want to see both guys go separate ways. I didn't really want to see Chris Eubank Jr. lose a fight by knockout to Liam Smith, then go straight in with Conor Benn and make much more money. Not that I care about how much he makes, but I felt it was like, you know, Liam Smith's not, where's his piece of the pie for knocking you out, you know? So good to see it happen again, and this time obviously Eubank Jr. has to win, otherwise that's that. Liam Smith is a better fighter and everyone knows it if you're not already convinced from the first fight. But anyway, in other news as well, Top Rank have signed the Olympic gold medalist Bakadir Jalalov. That's a multi-year contract that they've got going on. But yeah, that's it for the news. Moving on now to the preview part of the show. We're going to start with this one here. It takes place at the Meadowbank Sports Centre tomorrow night. In Edinburgh, Scotland. Over here, it's going to be live on Channel 5 actually. What do we have? Let's start with the undercard. Friend of the show, Harlem Eubank. We were just talking about his cousin Chris Jr., but yeah, he is 17-0. He gets in with Ishmael Ellis, who's 14-6. Not sure how many rounds that fight is. We're going to see Isaac Lowe as well, another friend of the show, 22-2 with 3 draws. Gets in with Jonathan Santana, 9-5 with a draw. I'm expecting that one to go the distance. Isaac Lowe probably to win on points. We're going to see Matty Harris, 5-0, a heavyweight prospect coming through that there's a lot of hype around. I think it's mainly Kalle Sauerland who's pumping out the hype on him, but quite a good fighter. They've matched him quite tough in just his 5 fights. He's got 4 KOs, but he's been in with durable guys really. He's been in with a couple of guys that don't get knocked out often. He's been in with a couple of guys who's never been stopped, and he's managed to stop them. But anyway, gets in here with Konstantin Dovbychenko, who is an extremely tough guy, 9-13 with a draw. People will remember, obviously, went the distance last time with Moses Itauma. Moses Itauma couldn't knock him out. That's the first guy that took him the distance. But other than that, he's extremely tough. Obviously been the distance and lost to Andre Rudenko, Jose Lardu, who else? Zan Kosabutsky. Again, he's the only person Zan Kosabutsky couldn't knock out in 19 fights. So, I just think, Matty Harris probably going to win this one on points. I'd be very surprised if he got him out of there. I think it's only a 6-rounder as well. Also on the card, we're going to see Sultan Zorbek, 14-0. He gets in with Spain's John Carter, who's 15-0 with a draw. Again, I'm expecting Zorbek to win that. I wouldn't be surprised if he won on points. I think you can get a decent price on that, but he probably will knock him out. But I think it's still worth a little punt on points there. And the main event, Lee McGregor, 12-0 with a draw. It's for the vacant IBO World Super Bantamweight title. He gets in with Eric Ayala, who is 13-1. I can't say I know too much about him. Moving out now, though, to Dubai, at the Dubai Studio City. over here, I don't know what TV channel it's going to be on, if any, but anyway, friend of the show tops the bill, Jazza Dickens, 32-4. He gets in with Hector Andres Sosa, who's 15-2. Once again, I'm expecting Jazza to pick up a points win here. It's over 12 rounds for the IBO World Featherweight title. Jazza, I mean, he's in good form, he's in good form. Obviously lost to Kid Galahad, which hasn't aged great, but other than that, that was his real, main hiccup in recent years. I mean, he was on a heck of a run. Him and Maxie Hughes were on kind of similar runs, like they turned their careers right around. And also, I'll say as well, Jason Cunningham as well deserves a shout in that kind of same level and sentence. But yeah, anyway, all the best to Jazza, all the best to him. And his opponent here, like I said, I don't know too much about him, but yeah, from Argentina, never been stopped in his 2 losses, so I'm expecting him to probably lose on points here to Jazza. And on the undercard as well, just a fight I think deserves a mention here, Mohamed Wasim. He's 12-2, and I'll be completely honest, I don't rate him that much at all. I don't think he's that good, but he gets in with former world champion, I want to say Donny Nietes, is like a 4-weight world champion or something. But anyway, 43-2 with 6 draws these days. It's for the IBO World Bantamweight title. I don't know if it's 4 weight classes or 3 or something like that. But anyway, this guy Donny Nietes, I definitely think he's way down the other end of the slide now. I think he's certainly at the end of his career, really. But I still think he could have enough in the tank to beat Mohamed Wasim, because I'm not really impressed with Wasim too much, and I was very surprised to see Nietes is the betting underdog just to win by any method. I think it's about 6-4. I think I'm going to definitely get a piece of that action there, and yeah, to win on points is even better priced, of course. Moving out now to the Shumash Casino in I don't know how to pronounce that, but somewhere in California. It's going to be live on USA UFC Fight Pass. This fight I don't think will go the distance. We're going to see Sergey Bohachuk, 22-1, 22 wins all by knockout. The 1 loss by knockout. He's never gone the distance in any fight, win or lose. It's for the WBC Continental Americas Super Welterweight title. It's over 10 rounds. He gets in with Patrick Alote, who is 42-4. Bohachuk, obviously always really good to watch him. I remember seeing him lose in his sole defeat to Brandon Adams, and that one was a really good fight as well. I remember that. It was on like a strange card somewhere. And yeah, he gets in here with, like I say, Patrick Alote from Ghana. Extremely padded record though. That's the only thing about this guy, extremely padded. I was looking through, obviously the guy's got 42 wins, and I was looking back through it, and honestly I don't really recognize probably more than one name in his win column, but I pretty much recognize all the guys in the loss column, like Patrick Teixeira, like Kana Islam, like Jaime Munguia most recently back in 2019. So yeah, I'd expect Bohachuk to win this one by knockout again, really. I think it's decent matchmaking though. Moving out now though to the Fire Lake Arena in Oklahoma, USA. This one's going to be live on ESPN. A few fights to mention on the card here actually. Where shall we start? We're going to start with a heavyweight that I'm going to give a little bit of credit to. Jeremiah Milton, 9-0 with 6 KOs, 6'4", 29 years of age. He gets in with Willie Harvey, who's 4-2 with 2 draws. That's over 8 rounds there on the undercard. All the best to Jeremiah Milton. Also on the card as well, Stefan Shaw, 18-1, gets in with Joseph Goodall, who's 9-1 with a draw. It's over 8 rounds there. Happy to see Stefan Shaw back in action. Obviously last time out lost on points to Effie Ajagba, but showed a heck of a lot of skill in that fight, but just seemed to slow down. And you could see he had the ability, but just didn't do enough. He only ended up losing, by 2 points after 10 rounds. It was 96-94 for Ajagba across all 3 scorecards. He kind of let the fight slip away, but undoubtedly the guy's got a lot of skill, and I just want to see what he's going to bounce back like here. Like I say, gets in with Joseph Goodall, who is a good puncher, 8 KOs from his 9 wins from Australia. Got beaten in his sole defeat to Justice Hooney. Yeah, that one was over 10 rounds 2 fights ago. But yeah, I think Stefan Shaw can do something at a certain level. And yeah, I want to see how he bounces back here. Also on the card, we're going to see Troy Isley, friend of the show, 9-0 in an 8-rounder here at middleweight against Antonio Todd. All the best to Troy Isley. Also on the card, Giovanni Santillan, 30-0, gets in with Eric Bone, who's 27-6. That's over 10 rounds at welterweight. Keyshawn Davis as well. I like this fight, actually. I love what they're doing with Keyshawn. The matchmaking is really quite brilliant. Especially of late, he's kind of been boxing, a few European fighters and stuff who, as UK boxing media, I know these guys really well. Like obviously last time with Anthony Yigit, managed to get him out of there. He gets in here with Francesco Patera, who's 28-3. Obviously Patera's been a decent fighter. He's on a real good run as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins in a row there. Wins over Samuel Molina, Paul Hyland Jr., Devis Boshiero. Decent fighter. Lewis Ritson as well, actually. I forgot to mention. How could I leave him out? So yeah, he's on a bit of a run, but yeah, never been stopped. Will he be stopped for the first time here? It's a tough one. I think it's a tough one. I think Keyshawn's an excellent fighter. I honestly love watching him fight. I'm so happy it's going to be on Sky Sports here in the UK, but yeah, I don't know. Will he stop him? I'm not entirely sure. If he stops him, it probably will be late, I'd say. So maybe have a look at the late rounds, or maybe just a points victory. I don't know. I'm going to look more into that and see what the prices say. But yeah, always good to see him fight. And then obviously the main event, George Kambosos Jr., another friend of the show, 20-2. He gets in with the UK's Maxi Hughes, 26-5 with 2 draws. It's over 12 rounds for the IBO World Lightweight title. Again, I don't know how you see this fight, Eddie. I don't think you're going to know too much about Maxi Hughes, but you can have a little word or whatever on Kambosos in a sec. But Kambosos coming off 2 painful back-to-back crushing defeats to Devin Haney. Obviously didn't get stopped in either of them, but he took a beating pretty much for 24 rounds in a row. However, I think sometimes when you take a beating like that, it can improve you as a fighter a little bit, That might sound mad because he has done 24 rounds. He's not just done 12 or done 10 and took a bit of a beating, but he got in there with, one of the very best in the division, Devin Haney, who's obviously now undisputed. And I just think after getting in with him to get straight in with Maxi Hughes, who, like I say, is on a heck of a run, honestly. I know, again, you're not going to know his career too well, Eddie, but this guy's on a crazy run, from kind of being British level to going and beating Kid Galahad last time out, beating that Mexican danger man, Giovanni Straffon as well. He's just in a brilliant piece of form, but Kambosos, I think, is going to be too good, really. Kambosos obviously done about 200 or 300 rounds of sparring with Manny Pacquiao. I think he's going to, be more than capable of beating Maxi Hughes, who's a southpaw. That's why I brought up the Pacquiao thing. So yeah, I'm expecting a good performance from George Kambosos. I think for him to win by stoppage is about 4-1. I think that's a good price, although it probably won't land, but it's still a price not to be ignored. But yeah, I think George Kambosos will win this fight and put an end to Maxi Hughes' fantastic run. I don't have much more to say on it, really, but did you want to weigh in on Kambosos, Eddie? Yeah, two real lessons against Devin Haney.
Yeah. Coming off that is going to be rough, especially coming off it with a guy like this. I mean, I don't know too much about him, but I remember hearing a lot about him in the Kid Galahad fight that he had. But yeah, it's a lot on Kambosos. But at this point, because he was an undisputed champion, he still has a lot to live up to. And losing to Devin Haney the way he did, and being dominated both fights like that, he's got to make a splash. And against a guy like this, who, like you said, is on a really good run. He's really he's really stepping his career up to a higher level. He has to prove that he's still capable of being the Don of the division, even though Devin Haney bested him real bad twice. So, this is a pretty important fight for Kambosos. And I really don't have a huge background on the other guy, on Max Hughes, but he has to be hot. He has to get in there and dominate and control the fight and show his class. And he's got to be at that level. And then, after that, maybe he gets another big fight and possibly back in title contention. But right now, he's got to take the first step, and it's a hell of a first step because this guy, like you said, is on such a great run. But he's got to take this step, and he's got to do what he got to do, and at the very least, dominate the fight, control the fight, and obviously then win the fight. But and we'll see if he can do that. I'm looking forward to it, and we'll see.
Yeah, like I said, there's a rule on the podcast. If you've been on at any point since we started back in 2015, then I pull for you to win your fights. So even though obviously we're seeing him step in with a British fighter in Maxi Hughes, a man who I take my hat off to absolutely every time, I am kind of wanting Kambosos to get the job done just because he's a friend of the show. I like Kambosos. Even though I haven't spoke to him for a while, he's a bit hard to reach these days, mind you. But all the best to him. Moving out now to this one. It goes down on DAZN at the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. Just one fight to mention over here. Friend of the show, another guy who a lot of people probably won't even know about. Tyler Tomlin. He's 14-1. He's in an 8-rounder here against Abdul Susaida, who's 11-3. And yeah, moving to the final card to mention, I'm sure we're going to have a bit to say on it. It takes place next Tuesday, July 25th. It's going to be live on ESPN. I'm hoping it's going to be live on Sky Sports as well, though I'm not entirely sure that time in the morning. I should actually check, and I will check actually when you're speaking about it, Eddie. But let's start with the undercard here. Another fight very much worth mentioning. Robisi Ramirez gets in with Satoshi Shimizu, who's 11-1. Obviously, Robisi Ramirez 12-1. It's the first defense here of Ramirez's WBO featherweight world title. I can't say I know too much about the Japanese fighter here, Shimizu. Southpaw. The one loss came to Joe Noine. Okay, I don't think Joe Noine is that great of a fighter. So yeah, looking at that, that's kind of told me I think all I need to know, although that does sound a bit ignorant. But yeah, let's just move straight up to the main event. Again, it warms us up for what's going to be a fantastic 7 days or a fantastic week of boxing. Obviously, like I say, we're previewing this because by the time the show goes out next week, this fight would have already took place, so we're previewing it here, even though it's next week. But yeah, this is a fight taking place on the Tuesday, and obviously on the Saturday we get to see Spence Crawford, but we'll be previewing that one next week. But yeah, here we go. For the WBC and WBO World Super Bantamweight titles, we're going to see Stephen Fulton, 21-0, friend of the show, which of course means I'm pulling for him. He gets in with Japan's golden boy, really, Naoya Inoue, 24-0. I think it's a fantastic fight, and I'm so happy that they managed to get it back on, because it was on and then it was off. I think Inoue got ill or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of, I don't really want to feed into it, but there's a lot of speculation actually about that quote unquote illness and what had actually got this fight delayed. And I don't want to go into that. That's a whole nother thing. But the fight itself, I think, is a fantastic fight. Obviously, Stephen Fulton has just impressed me more and more every time I've seen him, and I think we've seen him fight a range of styles, and we've seen him adapt in a fight to the guy's styles. I feel like he's shown a bit more to his game every single time, and the guy can box, the guy can fight. He's strong, he's extremely tough, got a good chin, got a crazy work rate. I'm so impressed with him, man. I swear, every time I see him fight, I'm a bigger and bigger believer of this guy. I remember him getting the shot against Angelo Leo. I don't even think he was supposed to get that shot. I think Angelo Leo was going to be fighting someone else, and Fulton stepped in, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously beat him. Beat Brandon Figueroa after that, although that was quite controversial. But then as well, last time out, beating Danny Roman as well. Danny Roman decided to retire after the fight. But yeah, gets in with Inoue, who Yeah, he lives up to that name, you know what I mean? The monster. He is a monster. However, again, last time out, went 11 rounds with Paul Butler. That was very unexpected. I thought he'd take Butler out in about a round or two, maybe 3. No one saw it going 11. And obviously the fight before that, he looked so clinical in that rematch against Nonito Donaire. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, really. I mean, if the fight goes the distance, I think Fulton's got a chance. But I think most people are expecting Naoya Inoue to get it done within the distance. Obviously, he's just a crazy puncher. He can mix it from the head to the body. He can punch with both hands. Amazing footwork, amazing defense, crazy pressure, good feints. He is unbelievable. But yeah, the height advantage is with the Philadelphian. It's a great fight, Eddie. But I tell you what, if I'm going to push myself for a prediction, I hate to say it, but I think Inoue might get to him at some point in the second half of the fight and might stop him. But I hope I'm wrong. Say your piece, though, Eddie.
I hope you're wrong too, man, Joe. I really do. This kid grew up around me. I remember watching him as a young guy running around in the gym. You know what I mean? Playing. And then, you just see the talent and the ability. But now it's like full surface, full circle. He's done so much. He obviously has so much growth from that time. And then through the amateurs and then now to the pros. He's a good little fighter and a good guy. I would love to see him be able to pull off this huge win here to put him in really, really elite company, extremely elite company. And, it'd be awesome to see. There's somebody from our area, somebody that I don't want to say no one expected to be at this point, but, being at those lighter weights, you don't really, always pay, not everybody pays attention to it. So this is an awesome thing for him. And I really, really hope he's able to get it done. But you're facing a tall order with this guy, like a really tall order. You know what I mean? And it's a huge ask for him to go in here and in Japan to deal with this kind of onslaught. But, this is what you do it for. This is the reason you fight. This is the reason, that you don't do it on paper. You do it in the ring. And the kid has all the ability in the world, but so does Stephen Fulton. So it's gonna be a very, very interesting fight. I can't wait to actually get a chance to watch it if it's possible. And, for me to watch it here, I think I'm gonna prepare for it. Actually now a week in, like somewhat, not a full week in advance, but in advance enough so that I can watch it live. But yeah, it's gonna be an awesome fight. I really think that he's gonna pull him. He's gonna push him to the brink. I think, and even if he doesn't win it, as long as he has a hell of a showing, it'll be a satisfactory performance for me. I would love to see him win it though, because this is a hell of an opportunity for him, and it'll push him right to the top. And he's already right there, but this will definitely push him to the top. So looking forward to it. Hopefully he can get it done.
Hopefully he can get it done. And you said something very important there. It will push him to the top, and I agree 100%. I mean, he wins this, he's undoubtedly top 5 pound for pound. Like, there's no argument. And that's the only thing that I think Fulton has been lacking a little bit. Some people are kind of hesitant to put him in the top 10, because even though he's unbeaten and he's been beating these good fighters, they're like, well, Danny Roman retired after the fight. Well, Angelo Leo, yeah, you beat him, but how good was he? What's he done since you beat him? He's disappeared. Brandon Figueroa, well, you got hurt in that fight. I don't even think you won that fight. But this one here, to go this far away from home and to beat someone like Inoue, it'd be one of the biggest wins on the road in recent times. And obviously it's such a different time zone and everything. I know that he tweeted the other day, Stephen Fulton, he actually celebrated his birthday in Japan. The thing is, it was his birthday in Japan, but it was not his birthday in the US. He still had to wait another day in the US, which was kind of weird. It just goes to show how much of a time difference there is. But he's been over there in Japan now for a little while. I'm sure he's used to it. Coverage will be starting. I've just checked it now. Coverage will be starting at 9:30 a.m. in the UK, which will be 4:30 a.m. where you are, Eastern time, Eddie. But yeah, 9:30 a.m. in the UK on Sky Sports. Obviously, the main event won't be starting that early. It looks like it ends up finishing at 2 p.m. So yeah, I guess there's going to be a few fights on the undercard being shown live there, but not entirely sure what time the main event starts, although I'd say it's probably going to be somewhere around about midday, I would have thought, which would be about 7 a.m. Eastern time. That's just my guesstimate. But anyway, all the best there to Cool Boy Steph, and I hope he can pull it off, man. And yeah, we should mention as well, obviously, Inoue moving up a weight here, and yeah, it's just going to be fantastic to see this fight take place. It is against two of the very best fighters down at the lower weights, and yeah, I'm just so glad that we're only a couple days away now. But anyway, that brings the preview part to a close. In part 1, we did the review part, then we welcomed our special guest. In part 2, we did the news. We've just wrapped up the preview part. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 405 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A huge shout out to this week's special guest, the former IBF Minimumweight World Champion, Mr. Deejay Kriel. The biggest thanks of all, though, goes out to you, the listeners. Thanks once again for tuning in. Unfortunately, BoxHard Podcast on Twitter has been permanently banned. So for the moment, if you do want to interact with us, you'll have to find us on Twitter at our personal accounts, basically at Joey Coastman or at ChampFastEddie. I'm still reachable on Instagram at BoxHard Podcast, but the Twitter is gone and apparently it's permanent. So I'm unsure right now what we're going to be doing in terms of making a new Twitter just for the podcast. It's probably going to affect views as well quite badly, because obviously Twitter was a really powerful platform that I'd use to put the the podcast out every week. So I'm gutted by that, but yeah, there's not much I can do. But anyways, that's about everything from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we shall see you all again next week.